Good afternoon, everybody who's watching us live and those who are tuning in henceforth and hither after. I'm Kevin Addix with the Maryland Wineries Association, joining you, what is for us doing this live the day before Thanksgiving, and we'll talk a little bit about Thanksgiving as we go through, and we've got a great interview with a new winery that many of our viewers, I'm guessing, will not have heard of, and hopefully can get out and purchase, do a curbside pickup, and give it a shot. And I would welcome you to join us throughout the conversation, and feel free to post questions, comments, and we'll answer those live as we go. You can post accusations and anything you'd like. We're happy to answer. I do want to say thank you to the Wine Explorers, to the folks who signed up for our Maryland Wine Explorer program and got their first shipment. Our team packed up boxes last week, and UPS gladly picked them up and took them out, and hopefully those are in hand. There was a Thanksgiving pack, there was a red pack, a white pack, and a variety of other wines available through our flash sale. And I would say stay tuned, because there's going to be some Cyber Monday specials coming up, and we look forward to presenting some really cool wines and also previewing what it is that we're doing for our winter shipment, which we'll get ready and geared up for January. So happy to take questions about that if those come up. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce a good friend, a board member of the Maryland Wineries Association, and one of Maryland's newest vintners, Chuck Mewshaw from Birch View Vineyards. Chuck, welcome.
Well, thank you, Kevin. Thanks for having us here at Birch View. We're
so
excited actually to be on.
Well, it's kind of you to say that. Listen, you are the new kid on the block. So you're open almost a year now?
That's correct. We about 2006, we did purchase Quail Vineyard from Bob, who was former president, of MGGA, Maryland Grape Growers. And in the time, in the last 6 years, we've done a lot of work. Well, you've been on our property, rebuilding, renovating, doing all those neat things, remediating the vineyard. And now we produce on our 40 plus odd acres, about 40 plus tons on our 10 acres. And we're having a lot of fun doing it. We're recognized now, like you. And I want to say, I want to backtrack a minute, Kevin, to say thanks again, because all that you have done, Maryland Wineries Association and the MGGA, around for members, for wineries, for down in Annapolis in general. We got a lot to be thankful at Thanksgiving, but that being said, the workshops that have been held, the camaraderie in the industry has allowed us to produce these high quality, recognized now nationally, high quality fruit. As you all know, is now being recognized by the American Wine Association. I think we had some members win some very prestigious awards. We've had founders of wineries that have been around for a long time. They're being recognized at, the highest levels in those organizations, and we appreciate that. But anyway, yeah, we're the new guys. We do that. That's what we're up to. We have, we're growing really good fruit now.
Well, I'm gonna shine up your just a quick view of your vineyard. So you're coming to us live from that house right there, aren't you?
That's exactly right. Beautiful Manchester. When my lovely wife, Sherry, and I were looking to get back into farming, as I retired from my 35 plus year professional career, we fell in love with this property. The view of the Bachman Valley is just wonderful. The community's wonderful. Our terroir, the slope, the exposure, our loam, our bedrock. It just turned out to be a really, really nice property that we immediately fell in love with. And we're glad to be here from that little white cottage, as we call it.
So I've had the privilege and honor of attending, visiting your site and bringing some of our crew up there to check it out. It's a beautiful drive in. And when you get there, you're right, because you're kind of at that top of the hill looking down over the valley. And it's gorgeous, and you've got I can see in the future where there's going to be walking trails and the ability for people to come and congregate out there. It's really a stunning place.
Thank you very much. We've worked very hard. It is stunning. And we've actually had people say that their blood pressure goes down as they come up our driveway. So that's pretty cool.
That's quite a compliment.
It is indeed. And we're looking forward to that. As you well know, 2020 was a challenge for everybody. We see a light at the end of the tunnel. We really do. And a couple years before that were really rough. I know, as you know, in 18, we had all the rain and we had hail in 17. And, you know, once we got up and rolling about a year ago, we had our restaurants coming on board, our liquor stores coming on board, our club membership gaining. We need to expand our manufacturing. We started that. Our architectural designs are done. Our perk tests are done. All those things are done. And then COVID hit. So, you know, but the light at the end of the tunnel is this holiday season. I'm really thankful, actually, just by word of mouth. We have a gift basket that we put together for some friends. The next thing you know, word of mouth. Oh, here's another gift basket. Oh, here's another. You know, we're up over 150 gift baskets. As soon as we're done here, I'm going back to work. I got to stuff a bunch of gift baskets, but so there is a light at the end of the tunnel for everybody. Yeah. For everybody. And on a note of that, winebusiness.com, as you will know, categorizes us and a lot of our members in the what's called the boutique winery, where you have 2,500 cases of production or less a year. They're handcrafted, like our product is, and also our bottle price is, you know, a little bit above $18.50 on average. So that's considered a luxury wine. Not a collectible wine, but a luxury wine, you know, one a little bit above average. And as you know, yeah, exactly. And winebusiness.com said that 20% of the folks that fall into our category probably won't make it through. But we're kind of tickled because with the support of your organization, the folks that have helped us in the industry, it's just remarkable that we actually see a light at the end of the tunnel. We produce great fruit. We're being recognized for that. Actually, our fruit has been in wines that have won double gold in San Francisco. Yep. And our wines, it's just amazing. You know, they're in the signature or landmark or whatever categories for our customers. And all of our fruit is sold. January 1 for that year. It's under contract. So we say.
So tell me about that. So you're growing grapes not just for your production, but you're also supplying other wineries.
That is correct. We narrowed it down to a certain number of folks we wanted to do business with,
right?
Who invested in us, who stayed with us as we remediated our vineyard. And, you know, every varietal takes a little bit of different pruning. I had a lot to learn. The workshops that we've attended, you know, the Maryland Grape Growers and the Association with the University of Maryland, the other universities around, and the expertise that we have, that our experts that contribute to the Maryland Winery Association. You know who those experts are. They're nationally recognized, they're internationally recognized. And those organizations allow us to gain that knowledge transfer. And that knowledge transfer has been priceless for us to do that. How to combat all the things in the vineyard, especially in the mid-Atlantic, that we have to. The challenges, the pressures, the weather, the deer, the birds, you name it. I think we've got every pressure you can get.
Chuck, let me ask you, just location wise, how far are you from Bassignani Winery?
From Bert, we're about, I'd say 25 minutes.
Okay.
Because he's down there on Falls Road, and
yep.
You come up Black Rock Road about 10 or 15 minutes, and then go forward. From Westminster, we're about 15 minutes.
Okay.
From Baltimore up 795, we're about 40 minutes.
Okay, I mean, so you're pretty central, and there are some other wineries you can get to within 20 minutes once you're out in Manchester, which is great.
15 minutes. 15 minutes. I mean, yep.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So on to the wine. So you've got, I think you told me 8 wines currently available.
We do, and the ones that we want to highlight tonight are my 4 favorites.
Okay.
Not that the others.
Not that you'd have favorites, right? Not that.
You have to. My go-to. You got to do my go-tos. And I will tell you that, and I do have to tip my cap to the folks that have supported me. And there's a gentleman that I want to mention. His name is Ray Mitchum, and he's a recognized winemaker for a long time. And he has helped me significantly to make decisions when my fruit comes and gets crushed, gets pressed. we right there on the spot, 4 hours after harvest, we're starting to make decisions what style we want to do, what we want to do with it. We go through the process. I'm a less intervention guy. I don't even spray sulfur in my vineyard. I try to practice as best I can biodynamic and sustainability practices. It's very difficult in this area, but because of that, we don't have to do a lot. And that's really how we like to approach our winemaking process. And he has been critical in raising the level. I grew up as a home winemaker as a child. I had a little turkey baster, put it in the barrel, sneak it over to my dad. I'm 8 years old. What do you do? And then as growing up, I got to travel around the world, and go out to the West Coast a lot in my career, spent a lot of time on the West Coast. And I knew I wanted to create that quality of wine. And it starts in the vineyard. So we got the vineyard straight. And now here we are producing really, really, really nice wines. And
so start us off. What's the first wine you want to showcase?
Okay. Well, I say these are one of our favorites. Maybe you can see this. This is I'm going to hold the bottle up here real close. This is
Let me shine you up here.
Alrighty. This is a 2018 Vidal Blanc. It was a rough season, as everybody knows. And actually, the fruit that came out of our vineyard for Vidal Blanc, our largest customer, unsolicited, gave us a bonus per ton because we dropped a lot of fruit. We worked really hard. We kept it clean. We kept it on the vine. And it came out as a wonderful, wonderful fruit. So we were able to take this and not only work with it, but put it in a neutral barrel for 6 months. So when you put Vidal in a neutral barrel, and if you're not familiar with Vidal Blanc, well, you can see the nice gold color. If you're not familiar with it, it can be styled. If you let it hang, it can get a little sweeter. If it depends on your pH and your bricks. You can pull it up. Let's see, we'll put it over here. You can harvest it a little bit early based on bricks or whatever, and you can have a nice, crisp, clean, dry. We chose to go somewhere in between there. And what we have is a very fruit-forward, and people talk about the aromatics sometimes of pineapple, of this or of that. We do. I mean, you can definitely get pear. You can definitely get a little honeysuckle if that's what it is. But it's not a dry wine. It's very well balanced, and as a matter of fact, there's definitely a little bit of pear there, and it's clean, it's crisp. Serve it chilled, it's delicious. You can serve it with fish at dinner or like a crab cake. It's wonderful with a crab cake, or a fruit platter, or summertime.
Can I ask you about the neutral oak? So most Vidals that I've tried are pretty crisp. Even when they're tropical and maybe a little sweeter, there's still good acid, and there's not typically oak. So how did the decision come to do the neutral oak?
We just thought it would be cool.
Yeah.
We just thought, hey, everybody else takes it straight from stainless. We did some reading. When you use a neutral barrel, sometimes it will enhance some of the characters that are there, but not necessarily forward, like pear. For instance, you can taste a little bit of pear in there, and we believe that the neutral oak helped bring that out.
Do you sense oak?
Not really. That's the best part about it. You don't. It's a neutral barrel. You really don't get that first-year barrel or that second-year barrel or that. Well, it's not quite neutral yet. What do we do with this barrel? You don't get that at all.
Yeah.
You get a well-balanced. It's interesting. I want to say like velvet almost, but there's something about it that you only get from that neutral barrel with a Vidal Blanc.
So the oak is the barrel is still influencing the wine, just not with the toasty, oaky vanilla character. Yeah, very cool.
Exactly. We like it. And have you sampled this wine, Kevin?
I think I've sampled this one. Yeah. What's the retail on it?
Retail is just $21, $22.
22. Okay. Well, that's a reasonable price.
Yeah.
All right.
question is, what are we
What's
gonna
that? Yeah, what about next?
Okay, let me get another glass for radio over here. This is my go-to. I have to tell you, we like standalone varietals. We've worked very hard for the character to stand out, to represent our terroir. You know that. Most wineries like to use Chancellor. Okay, this is our Chancellor 2018, because of its color, which is very inky, to blend and build color and with other blends. And there's some, it's not a real sweetness, but there's a real nice plum in here. And we'll put it over this way. We'll tilt it maybe the other way like that. There's a real nice plum that comes out. So what you get is a Chancellor character, a full, robust, again, well-balanced, not a sweet wine by any means. It's I would call it a semi-dry wine if you wanted to go that way. I like to make the analogy when enthusiasts or not, even novice come up our driveway and they go, "Oh, gee whiz, I don't know the difference between this varietal and that varietal." I think it's kind of like, other fruit. There's all kinds of apples. There's all kinds of grapefruits. There's all kinds of peaches, all kinds of pears. If you haven't heard of Chancellor, most likely you probably drank it in a blend somewhere. And why don't you try it? I like it, and I'm going to pour a little bit because I'm talking about color. And you'll see that's about, that's about as inky as you're going to get. And it's clear. We'll go this way. Extremely clear. It's just beautiful, and it tastes great. It's fruit forward. You taste that Chancellor character. It's well balanced. Thank you, Ray, for helping me with this one. You taught me a lesson.
So an interesting thing about Chancellor. So most modern wine drinkers, folks who've come into wine in the last 10, 15 years, Chancellor might have escaped them, right? They may not have ever seen or heard of Chancellor. 20 years ago, if you walked into the Maryland, Pennsylvania, New Jersey wine industries, New York wine industries, most of the wineries had a Chancellor.
Really?
Yeah. And so that it truly is, one of the historic varieties in the East Coast. And over the years, as the push to go to vinifera and other things happened, Chancellor kind of went on the wayside, and this rebirth of Chancellor and some of the older varieties is great because winemakers are now treating it like they would treat a Merlot or a Cab Sauv or a Cab Franc. Whereas,
well, they should.
And they should, and it's responding to that, which is amazing. Chamberson's the same way, where 20 years ago, if you manhandled Chamberson, you got a rough table wine. But now you're treating, the techniques of the old world are being applied to it. Again,
less intervention, a lot of work in the vineyard. You're not going to get a good wine if you don't have a nice vineyard. I mean, you know that. And again, it's kind of my go-to red. I have to tell you, I drink a lot of Chancellor. I hate that.
Great.
For as much as, let me get I need to get 2 more glasses. Hang on.
While you're doing that, what's the price on the Chancellor?
Chancellor's $23. If you go to our website, here's the plug. Here's the plug, Kevin. If you go to our website, of course we have a special just for you. No, the COVID-19 program. We opened up our vineyard for by appointment pickup only. So you go on the website, you look at our offerings, you make your purchase, you say you want to pick up, which save yourself on shipping. We're really not that far out of town. We're really not. And come pick up, meet us, see the place, whatever. 6 bottles, you get a nice discount. You buy a case, you get a real nice discount. So when you talk about pricing right now, what's on our website when you actually go to checkout is when you see your discounts applied. They're pretty substantial. So you're talking about getting $30+ bottles of wine. We're in the low 20s.
Who would have thought a year ago that we would be having a virus discount?
Right. And we adhere, I have to tell you, we adhere strictly to COVID protocol.
Yep.
So There's no retail. There's no merch. There's no, you walk
So it's
into
truly
a
pick up and go.
It's truly pick up and go. We say hello. How are you doing? If you'd like to stand outside, take a little look, that's great. Spend a minute or two. That's great. Go park in the back, walk up, pick up, or drive through, pick up. That's fine. But our tasting areas are not open. And we're going to adhere to that pretty strictly for a while.
Let me ask you, and I've been asking folks this, and I'm getting a lot of different answers. What will be the trigger or threshold for you to feel comfortable accommodating the public again?
I believe when the positivity rate gets very low.
Okay.
And when I see what's going on, we're all tuned into the news, and the positivity rate right now is going up. I anticipate with the holidays, it'll probably continue on the path. And when that positivity rate is consistent for, let's say, 60 days, 90 days, we'll be ready. But until then, I just, I think caution is the way to go. I really, really do. And vaccines are great, and the vaccine is coming. We're thankful for that. We're thankful for now there seems to be some type of treatment that at least reduces those. But to answer your question, sorry about the roundabout, we're going to have to see a positivity rate go really, really low and stay there for 60 to 90 days before I feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And that's
and that makes sense. We'll know it when we see it, and it'll be when things are recovering from a health standpoint. So
that's kind of where we're at. But the good news is, again, we have folks that call and say, I need 10 baskets, or I want to buy a case of wine. And we're like, wow, that's awesome. Come on up, pick up.
Who knew you'd be the basket guy? Who knew you would be the all-man basket guy?
Yeah, it's crazy. And you know what? And I'm going to plug a little. Thank you for your patience. What we wanted to do is we wanted to establish kind of a traditional thing. As you well know, I like history, and I can talk about Abraham Lincoln's proclamation that made Thanksgiving after the Civil War and all those wonderful things. We're just overwhelmed with history here in Maryland, and I grew up here. So all those elementary school field trips kind of got me engaged. But traditions are big for folks like us who grew up in the Baltimore area, rural Howard County. So there's a chocolatier that I go to on Caton Avenue and right next to St. Andrew's Hospital called Rebs. And I'm like, why do I want to buy prepackaged whatever chocolates that are mass produced? So the things that we put in our baskets are those handmades from chocolatiers that have been around for 100 years.
That's
and my
great.
grandparents took, my parents do, took me to. I take my children and they look forward to. Same way with, let's say, the little burlap bags or something. But one of our packages has, you've probably seen Jeppy's, Jeppis. Jeppy's. No, right. Well, they have a line of deluxe. The nuts are larger and, whatever, deluxe salted nuts, and they include, all the nicer ones, the pecans and the Grigios are better. So in our baskets, we put Jeppy's deluxe mixed nuts, nice big, 6-8 ounce bag, and, quarter pound of Reb's chocolate, and we throw stuff in, and we give you a mask for the virus. And when I look at the competitors online, it's like, okay, now I know why people are calling.
Right.
Now I know why
it's a little more authentic and local focused.
So that's what we do, a little more tradition, Baltimore kind of thing. And it's resonating. It's really resonating.
Well, Chuck, you have another wine to showcase, right?
Actually, I have. Oh gosh, I can go all day.
You got two more.
Okay, yes, we should. So you saw how inky, and I left some. So here's what I want to show you. I want to show you our heritage. Again,
Okay.
That's a nice, way to get into our heritage. Again, all of our wines are, produced from our fruit here. That we're showing today. And the Norton that we have in the back, everybody goes, oh, Norton. Okay, well, this blend is a little bit of Norton, Chamberson, and Chancellor. So you get the sweet.
There's the heritage blend. I mean, that is aptly named because these are heritage varieties for the East Coast.
And that's what we thought. And it was kind of one of those things where, I have I'm pretty straight up about what happens around here. We had a little bit of Chamberson, a little bit of Chancellor, and a touch of Norton left over in the bottom of some barrels. And we said, well, let's try that. Oh, wow. That's astounding. This is our best seller. It turns out to be our best seller.
Is it really?
It really is. It's like the Norton gives it just a touch of sweetness, that grapey sweetness. And when we talked about the plum, and Chamberson, as you all know, gives you a little bit of a nutty. You taste a little bit of a nutty, earthy there. And when you put it all together, it is, we love it. It's astounding.
All just from trying the bottoms of barrels, right?
It's experimenting and in the barrel room, going into the barrel room consistently, into the barrel room. That's what, that's what my wife says. Excuse me, that was not my wife, that was somebody else. But my wife says, you have to experiment. You have to experiment. You really got to, be original, be yourself. And we're like, okay, well, maybe we'll try this because it sounds like a great idea. And I left some here. This is the Chancellor. Oops, here we go. This is the Chancellor over here. That's the Chancellor. Now I'm going to leave the Chancellor there. I'm going to bring in the Heritage. And I don't know if you can see, but it is slightly lighter. Oh, look, you can see the legs on it. Isn't that something? Even in there. You can see it's slightly lighter in color. All the characteristics, and that's what the Chancellor brings, and that's what the Chamberson brings. And actually, the Norton is kind of dark as well. Beautiful, a little bit lighter than Chancellor. Aromatics. It's kind of overwhelming when you go, oh, wow, I got a couple things going on here. What's really going on? And then when you, again, I don't want to get too technical, but all across your palate, front, back, side, finish. It's so well balanced, and there's not a lot of residual sugar in any of this. I mean, we don't really manipulate our wines. We don't need to manipulate our wines for color. We don't have to extract artificially colors. We don't have to artificially load up on sugar. We don't have to run these agents that you put in your wines to adhere to those things so you can filter them out. We don't have to do that. We rack. We just rack, we taste, we rack. And we go, okay, enough oak, okay, enough fermentation, okay, let's go. And that's how we make our wines. We really, I said it earlier that we do not spray sulfur. We use an organic product that we spray on. It's actually an organic mineral with a little bit of vegetable oil blend that when we spray on our canopy and on our fruit, because skins are porous, canopy is obviously porous. When we spray that, and it definitely slightly inhibits photosynthesis, so we understand that when we work that. But instead of putting sulfur on to burn off the mildews or the things like that, we suffocate them. And when it rains, of course we have to reapply. Of course it's more expensive, more labor, more product, but we don't have to worry about residual sulfur. Of course, there's always sulfur in fermentation. You're not getting away from that. So there's always going to be sulfur. I'm not saying there isn't, but there are things like that. Like our herbicides, we spray far less herbicides. We spray far less pesticides. Those are the kinds of things that we do so we don't have to manipulate our fruit as it ferments and as it's in our barrels.
Well, you get a cleaner wine from that.
Yeah. Well, that's true. That is true. But as you well know, you and I both know, there's the only way to know you're getting clean wine or natural wines. Now, organic wines are certified, and there's some organic wines that are absolutely delicious. There are. The clean natural program, I have to tell you, there's really no consistent standards across the board in North America that designate clean. The only way you know is if you visit the vineyard. Visit your wherever, go anywhere, visit your vineyard, ask the vineyard manager, ask the vintner, ask your folks, oh, tell me a little bit about what you do in your vineyard. That's the only way you're going to understand. And there are a lot of Maryland wineries, including those in our association and outside, that adhere to really kind of strict biodynamic programs, sustainability programs. They're very, very, very strict about it. They want to be sustainable. They want to be clean. And it's just different variables. You just have to understand who you're.
Yeah, and for a lot of folks, it's not so much about branding that; it's that they want to be that. And so, when we take tours and talk with some of our winemakers who, we hear in their processes are darn near biodynamic, right? It's hard to be organic in Maryland, but they're not broadcasting it because some years they may not be, but all their practices, they're trying desperately to be that, and they don't really announce it. And I think that's why it's good to get to know the maker and to have these conversations, and all of our wineries are open to having those conversations.
And Kevin, I believe that dedication and the generations that we have in the last 15 years have absolutely raised the bar in fruit production. I keep talking about fruit production.
Yeah. Well, that's where it's at.
And the standards now the standard is set so high now. In the same way with wine manufacturing, wine producing, making your wine, that the quality of the product in Maryland now, it's amazing. I think you were saying earlier about there are wines, maybe it was a different podcast or something. We have multiple wines that are scoring nationally and internationally in the 90s. And instead of paying $80 for a bottle of wine or $60 for a bottle of wine, that's a $35 bottle of wine in Maryland on the shelf. And it's delicious. In our local liquor stores, I had a guy who carries our product in Westminster, and we were talking, and he said, who would have ever thought that I would be appreciating Maryland? And he's a big liquor store. Who thought that I'd be appreciating Maryland wines and been in the industry his whole life as I do today? And that's a testimony to the commitment that people have made in the last decade or so. And legislation itself, Carroll County's been great to us. The state of Maryland, Annapolis, well, there's a lot of things that have been happening, and there's some members on, your board that have been instrumental with your help when they petition Annapolis or those kinds of things. And I know I'm kind of plugging the association, but it has raised the bar to where people who were absolutely, Maryland wine, nah. Now they're going, oh wow, this is pretty good. It's pretty good. I do have one more. I don't know about time. I could go on forever.
Oh, go for it.
Well, this is kind of, if you know me, I talk too much and I have too much fun. This is our 2019 Pinot Gris. See, because it says Pinot. We marked out.
I do. Let's get a close up of that collector's edition label.
Collector's edition label. And the reason being is our labels are shipping today. It's this style label with our pretty little birch tree.
Yeah.
Our pretty nice little pretty birch tree. And it'll say Pinot Grigio.
Yep.
On a side note, people say, well, how did you get the name Birch View? My wife is a brilliant woman, and she's very creative. She doesn't want to take credit for it, but she's got a really, no pun intended, dry sense of humor. She said, well, Chuck, everywhere we go in the vineyard, see that one birch tree? Yeah. Why don't we call it Birch View? I said, sure. We only got one birch tree. And she started to laugh. I said, yeah, okay, one birch tree. She said, we can always plant more. So we named our vineyard Birch View Vineyard because everywhere you go, you see the one birch tree.
There's one. Okay, well,
and
let's keep that tree alive.
Well, so we've got one that we're training to look just like it. That's another funny story. Our 2019 Pinot Collector's Edition. It's Pinot Grigio, and again, a little bit of a history lesson. There is a difference, and I'm going to use this big glass. It's not intended for a white wine, but you know what? I drink red, white, whatever. I mix everything up anyway. So, again, Pinot Grigio versus Pinot Gris. Pinot Gris is a style of the same vinifera that's more, slightly sweeter, styled that way. Pinot Grigio is more crisp, citric approach, a little citrus in there, and a dry wine, more of an Italian style Pinot Grigio.
Right.
Our terroir, because of the bedrock, because of the exposure, our elevation, the slope that we're on, our Pinot Grigio is, I would say, a great representation of a true Italian Pinot Grigio. We've had several people, customers and critics and folks who have sampled our Pinot Grigio, and they're quite frankly surprised at how, I will say, how genuine it seems to come as a true Italian style Pinot Grigio coming out of our Piedmont Plateau. Who would have thought? The minerals, the loam, all those neat things that we have. And the way we now prune, we don't necessarily prune for volume, because the Pinot Grigio grapes they're smaller and they're very tight cluster. And here, with the pressures that we have, they're prone to, some of the pressures that we have because of weather. And it takes a lot of work, pruning strategy, to do that. Now, I wanted to also, here's our Pinot Grigio. I'll put it right there. And here is our Vidal. See the difference in the color? Vidal's a little darker. Pinot Grigio is a little lighter. I will tell you, as I go through my notes, because sometimes I get mixed up myself, it comes, whatever. I really don't know what to say other than all of our wines are lower in alcohol. We run around 12, a little bit above. Some of our reds go up to 13, but because of the way we do with less intervention stuff, a little bit lower alcohol. We don't throw a bunch of sugar in to pump alcohol levels up. So it reflects more of the character when you
get fruit, not alcohol, which is
literally. I thank you. That's what I was trying to say, and it is clear. It's, when I say clear and clean, it is lighter in color, because that's what the grape produces. The grape's really kind of funny. They start green, they go red, they produce this. People go, that reddish grape produces this whitish wine? Yeah, it really does. And if you see a Vidal any darker than that, I would like to think. Maybe not. So, and as you can see, we talk about legs. That means it's well balanced. The sugar content's a certain way, and the composition of the wine allows it to adhere to the glass. That means, it could be a good glass of wine if you find the varietal. And it's light. Again, Baltimore tradition, crab cakes, hey, all night long. Fruit platter.
So let me throw out some impending meals, right? So we got Thanksgiving tomorrow.
I would go with Vidal 2018.
Yeah.
Blanc. I would also encourage, if those folks who like the Italian style, Pinot Gris. I prefer. I'm more traditional, but I do crazy things. Like if I have a really nice Cab Sauv and I have cheesecake, I will pour a little bit of Cab Sauv on my plate and dip my cheesecake in my Cab Sauv. Okay, people say that's really contrasting, but so I kind of do things like that. One to experiment, and one I think they pair well. So the two reds that I showed you today won't be reds that I would have with my turkey dinner.
Right.
They would be reds that I would save for dessert.
Interesting.
And you say, why dessert? What? Isn't that kind of like heavy? Well, some of your desserts and your pies are really sweet. Why would you go red? Well, sometimes they pair well with pecans. I don't know.
Well, the other thing is, and I just gave a little presentation about how difficult turkey is, and it to pair with, but also the idea of a meal like Thanksgiving, whether it's just two of you having your first Thanksgiving alone, or one, or a large family who's been hiving together for the last few months. You got 15 things on the table. It's very hard to pair a wine with it, but something like the Vidal I mean, that's almost universal.
That's our go-to tomorrow. We in the chiller, and that's my mom likes it too. She's coming over. She loves that Vidal.
So Chuck, just give us a closing line. Tell folks kind of what they need to know in summary about Birch View, and then remind us how we can learn more about the wines and buy them.
Well, thank you. Little summary is this business, this industry is a labor of love. You need good fruit to make good wine. You need experienced, knowledgeable, hardworking winemaker support to learn how to make good wines and produce those. It's taken a lot of work and a culmination of a lifetime of experiences to get here. That's what we're about. We talked about sustainability and those things and renewable energy for our workshop. We do that now. All of our energy is replenished with renewable energy, whether it's solar or the air turbines. So that's kind of our philosophy, big time. Good fruit, good wine, sustainability, respect the environment. That's kind of our philosophy. And in regards to where that leads us, we don't do the big electronic social media thing. We do mostly word of mouth. We want you to get to know our vineyard. And in order to do that, all you have to do is go to BirchViewVineyard.com. It's real simple. It's all one word, BirchView Vineyard, singular.com. And you can read about us. You can go online and purchase. And we would love to see you come visit us by appointment under COVID protocol to pick up your wine. We would love to see you. And I would also encourage you while you're here, and I sincerely mean this, there are other wineries within 15 to 20 minutes that also have delicious products. So while you're here, maybe stop by, make a loop.
Good. Well, that's generous of you to say, and keeping in the tradition of the industry where, that old saying, the rising tide lifts all boats. So, Chuck, want to thank you for joining us.
Oh, thanks for putting up with me.
Oh, of course. No, you're easy. So much appreciated. Say hi to Sherry, and we'll get back out there soon.
Thanks again for everybody who came on. We'll see you soon, I hope. Thanks, Kevin.
So with that, we'll wrap up and just say thank you very much for tuning in. And one last plug for our wine club. So check out the Maryland Wine Explorer Club. You can gift the club this holiday season in between our shipments. So we just had a shipment. We're going to have a little sale on Monday, so stay tuned for that. Cyber Monday has to involve wine as well. Maybe you need wine to get through Cyber Monday, or maybe the wine is just the excuse to spend some money to support local businesses, which we support and encourage. So you can gift the club, and we hope you tune in and log on and check it out. And without further ado, happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you again soon.